Welcome everyone to the session of Transport Layer Security Basics and Fundamental. I am Divyang and currently working for Cisco Systems. In this session, we will see how TLS came into exist and why do we need TLS. TLS is cryptographic protocol designed to provide communication security over a computer network. What is cryptography? Cryptography is the process to convert plain text into uninterpreted text. Here you can see that sender is sending message in plain text like hello there, which will be converted into encrypted text before transmit over internet. At receiving end, it will again convert it back to plain text so receiver can understand. Before we begin, let's see the typical flow of TLS, which we have seen many times. TLS provides good and robust solution. But do we know what exact problem solved by TLS? Few people might say that TLS establishes secure connection between two machines. Let's dig little into history. TLS was standardized in 1999 and SSL was came into exist somewhere around 1995. But cryptography was exist much before that. If we check World War II, it is full of code making and code breaking. Remember the famous Enigma machine? If secure connection was exist much before TLS, then what problem solved by TLS? So we will understand all these problem statement and solutions that is provided by TLS. Also we will understand each element of TLS and why do we need them. Let's begin. Alice wants to communicate with Bob. By the way, Alice and Bob are very famous characters to describe the flow. But do you know who has first time used Alice and Bob to describe any flow? We will see answer in this session. Alice sent hello to Bob. This message is in plain text. So each node like router, gateway, switch in the path of Alice and Bob will see this message and interpret it. So how Alice sent message securely to Bob? One solution is to use symmetric key encryption. What is symmetric key encryption? This is the encryption which we know very well. In this method, we have one key, a binary number. Using that, we encrypt message and using same key, we decrypt message. If message was encrypted with one key and try to decrypt using another key, then it will not decrypt it properly. So let's see how Alice used this method. Alice generates symmetric key. This key is a binary number. Using this key, Alice encrypt message and send message to Bob. Now this message is encrypted, so all node in between of Alice and Bob can read message but cannot interpret message because key is available to Alice only. But when message reach to Bob, then Bob also have same issue. He can read message but cannot interpret message because key is available to Alice only. So here comes our first problem statement. How to exchange keys securely. Before TLS and SSL, key exchange achieved manually. Let's see how can we exchange keys securely. To solve this issue, we will use asymmetric key encryption. What is asymmetric key encryption? In this method, we have two keys and the formula is designed in a way that if you encrypt message with key 1, then that message will be decrypted by key 2 only. And if you encrypt message with key 2, then that message will be decrypted by key 1 only. Same key will not help to encrypt message and decrypt same message again. So you always need pair of keys here. If you encrypt message with key 1, then you must need alternative key to decrypt message. Let's see how can we use this method to solve our problem. This method is also called public key encryption. You can see Bob has two keys. The name public key and private key is based on visibility of the key. Private key never been exposed and public key is available to everyone. Let's see how Alice sends secure message to Bob using this technique. Alice requests public key. This is plain text message on open network. Bob provides public key to Alice. This is also a plain text message to open network. Alice encrypt data using public key of Bob. Send encrypted data to Bob. Now this message is encrypted with public key of Bob. So even if someone on internet has stored public key of Bob, then also he will not able to decrypt message because decryption require alternative key. When message reach to Bob, he will use alternative key means private key to decrypt message. So this technique works well to solve key exchange issue. Let's see who has invented this technique. Ron Rivest, Eddie Semir, and Leonard Adleman. And the technique they have found is known as RSA, which we are using in some or the other way. At the beginning of session, I have asked one question. Do you know who has first time used Alice and Bob to describe any flow? So, here is the answer. The Alice and Bob characters were invented by Rod, Eddie, and Leonard in their 1978 paper, A Method for Obtaining Digital Signature and Public Key Crypto System. Let's back to our original topic. Let's see some performance analysis of public key encryption technique and compare it with other techniques. Here you can see analysis of three techniques. First, DES, Data Encryption Standard. Second, AES, Advanced Encryption Standard. And the third is RSA, which we have just now saw. So DES and AES are symmetric key encryption, which means it will work on single key, while RSA is asymmetric key encryption and require pair of keys. Let's see key length. This length is showing that to achieve same level of security, how much bit of key length require. AES require 56-bit key and still highly secured, while RSA require more than 1000 bit of key. With this length, it is secure, but still having timing attack. In timing attack, hacker will send one request to server, calculate time between request and response. Based on that time, hacker can identify key length, CPU capacity, and based on those parameters, hacker apply various attack to system. Normally we use 2048 or higher bits key in RSA. You can see RSA consumes more power than other two, and RSA is not much efficient when compared to performance. We can clearly see that symmetric methods such as AES are much efficient but difficult to do key exchange. And RSA is easy to exchange but not much efficient. Is there a way that we can combine both of these and take advantage of both? Let's see how can we combine both techniques. Alice requests public key from Bob. Bob provides public key to Alice. Now instead of encrypting data or message using public key, Alice will generate symmetric key, a binary number. Encrypt symmetric key with public key of Bob. Send encrypted key to Bob. Now this key is encrypted using public key of Bob, so no one can decrypt key. When key received by Bob, Bob can decrypt it using private key. Using symmetric key, both can now establish secure channel. This is how TLS achieve key exchange between two machines. TLS has not defined any encryption technique from its own. I hope you have understood as of now. Do you see any issue with above solution? There is one issue with this solution. You can pause video and think of the issue in this call flow. Let's see what is the issue. Let's bring Alice and Bob again. Alice is requesting public key from Bob. This message is detected by one of the router, which is controlled by hacker. So hacker came into picture. Bring his own set of keys. Bob is sending public key. This key is stored by hacker. Instead of sending Bob's public key, hacker is sending his own public key to Alice. Alice thought that this key belongs to Bob, and so she is generating symmetric key. Encrypt symmetric key with received public key and send encrypted key back. Now hacker can decrypt this key because Alice has encrypted key with hacker's public key. Hacker got the key. Hacker now encrypting same key using Bob's public key and send it to Bob. Bob thought that this key directly came from Alice. So Bob decrypted key using his private key and got the symmetric key. Bob and Alice thought that they have established secure channel of communication. But did they? I hope you understand this issue here. And with this issue, here comes our second problem statement. How to protect our channel from man in the middle. We have to define solution for identity management. Identity management means how Alice can verify that public key received is from Bob only. So how can we do that? The solution is digital certificate. What is digital certificate? Let's understand digital certificate briefly. Digital certificate is a document which has many information related to owner. For example, few of the fields are version. X509 is a standard format for public key certificates and V3 is the current version. Serial number. This is the unique ID of certificate. Issuer. Who has issued this certificate? Valid dates. This certificate was issued on some date and valid till some date. Like if you are doing some online course or CCNA, then they are valid for next few years only. Similarly, this certificate has also some validity. After that, this certificate will not be valid. Subject. This section contains all information of owner of the certificate. Like if I am owner of cisco.com, then cisco.com is my common name. This also contains my address detail. So these are some of the basic detail of certificate. But this certificate is not valid. In fact, any certificate in this form is not valid. What is missing that make this certificate valid? Signature. Now this certificate is digital. So how can we sign digital certificate? The solution is digital signature. What is digital signature? How is it working? Is digital signature work same way everywhere? Is it approved by government? Let's take one example here. Bob want to sign one digital document. First, Bob will calculate hash of this document. He can calculate hash using MD5, SHA1 or like so. We are using hash when we are sending big size document over internet. And the good thing about hash is, irrespective of size of doc, hash has fixed bytes like 32. If you change a single bit in document, then its hash value get changed. Now Bob will encrypt this hash. For that, he will bring out his pair of keys. Here, Bob will use his private key to encrypt hash. Provide both info to RSA formula. Get encrypted hash. Now Bob will take original document, insert encrypted hash into it. So this is how Bob is doing digital signature to document. Now let's see how to verify digital signature. Alice want to verify document signed by Bob. First Alice bring out encrypted hash from document. Alice want to decrypt this hash. Now we know that hash was encrypted using private key of Bob. So Alice need public key of Bob to decrypt. Alice take public key of Bob as that is available to everyone. Apply public key and hash to RSA formula. Get decrypted hash. Now take original document, calculate hash again of that document and verify both hash. Here you can see if someone has tampered doc, then encrypted hash and original document hash will not match. If someone has modified document and signed with his own private key, then Bob's public key will not be useful. This is how digital signature works. So whenever you saw digital signature, you know how it's been signed. And this is approved by various governments, including India and USA. This is one sample certificate took from my system. Here you can see subject section. This certificate is issued to apple.com, issued by apple.com, which means this is self-signed certificate. You can see valid dates, public key info, and the most important field, digital signature. Now let's see how to use digital certificate. First, we will take a look at self-signed certificate. Self-signed certificate means my certificate and I am the issuer. So, to understand how self-signed certificate works, let's take one bank example. I got one check. I have filled all information in it, provided my signature to it. I am presenting this check to bank. Bank will say that we do not have record of your signature. In simple word, bank will say that you do not have account in our bank. So first I have to open my bank account, provide copy of my signature to bank. Then next time bank will verify my signature. The same logic work here as well with self-signed digital certificate. Let's see how it works. Again bring back Alice and Bob. Here somehow Bob has already provided self-signed certificate to Alice by pen drive or some other way. So Bob's certificate already present into Alice's machine. This is we call opening account to bank. Alice sent TLS hello to Bob. This is nothing but asking of public key. Bob replied with digital certificate and public key. Actually, public key is part of certificate. Alice verify received certificate with already installed certificate. And if match, then Alice has confirmation that public key is belongs to Bob only. Alice generates symmetric key, encrypt key using public key of Bob, send it over internet. Bob receive key, decrypt it, and establish secure channel of communication. This is the typical flow of TLS we have seen in the beginning of session. Of course, few more info are there like which algo need to use for encryption and what is the key size. But overall flow of TLS is like this. Now, someone has question here that if Alice already has certificate of Bob, then why Alice is asking Bob certificate again? Just use pre-installed certificate and public key to encrypt symmetric key. The answer is, suppose Bob has provided certificate to Alice with valid dates, but somehow Bob's system got crashed or hacked and Bob has to regenerate new certificate. In that case, it is good for Alice that every time establish new TLS connection, better to request latest certificate. And if that is not matched with pre-installed one, then drop connection. So this technique work well if we have installed certificate previously. But on internet, this technique is not viable because we are accessing many new sites daily, and how can we grab certificate of each and every site before accessing it? So how can we verify identity without pre-installing certificate? Let's understand with another bank example here. Alice has bank account in Standard Chartered Bank. Got checkbook from the bank. Bob has bank account in Citibank. Alice signed one check for Bob and provided to Bob. Bob submitted check to Citibank. Citibank has no reference of Alice's signature, but Citibank knows that this check authorized by Standard Chartered, and I know Standard Chartered Bank. So Citibank give this check to Standard Chartered and complete the verification. Similar way, certificate authority also works. Let's understand. I want to open one site called cisco.com. For secure communication, I will generate new pair of keys. I will prepare certificate. Fill all information regarding my website. Insert my public key into it. Now I am planning to sign my certificate with Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt has its own pair of keys. I will provide my certificate to Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt fill issuer's information into certificate. Sign certificate and provide me back. Now if someone opens cisco.com, then I will present this certificate to him. He will see that this certificate is signed by Let's Encrypt. So download public key of Let's Encrypt and verify my certificate. But the question is, why someone should trust Let's Encrypt? So how Let's Encrypt will establish trust? Let's Encrypt has his own certificate, and that certificate is signed by US government. But how I will get US government certificate? So this certificate is already present in your system. When you are installing web browsers like Firefox, Chrome or any operating system, it will come with around 200 pre-installed certificates issued by different governments around the world. This chain can have multiple intermediate CA certificate authority like Let's Encrypt, but final certificate must be present into your system. So here is the conclusion of entire session. TLS or SSL have solved two major problems: how to exchange keys securely and how to manage identity to prevent man-in-the-middle attack. And with this, we have finished the transport layer security protocol basics and fundamentals. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.